Welcome to this episode of Clout is Not Currency podcast, where we have conversations about value, worth, and influence. I'm your host, Blessing Makosha, aka Big Money B, because I'm focused on cheddar, I'm focused on cheese, and I don't let a bum chick get a touch up on me. Today, we're going to be having a conversation about a few topics that have taken my eye around black culture, entertainment, business, and tech. And this podcast is powered by Planet Blessing, and our video episodes are available in full on the No Ghostwriter Patreon, but you can see our video episodes on our YouTube channel as well, and you can get all of the audio episodes on normal podcast services. But if you do want ad-free episodes, then make sure that you join us on Patreon. So that's patreon.com/No Ghostwriter. And No Ghostwriter is a hip-hop platform that puts you on to the best independent, authentic, and underground rap and hip-hop sounds. And we're bringing integrity back to hip-hop, one rap cipher at a time. So join us at our next event in London on the 9th of December in Shoreditch. If you want more information, then just check out the show notes or just head to No Ghostwriter's YouTube channel or Instagram, where you'll find all of the information. So let's get into the topics. So wanting to again revisit topics around Stan Twitter and the different privacy laws and developments in that area and how it might affect them. So Twitter said on the 30th of November, beginning today, we will not allow the sharing of private media such as images or videos of private individuals without their consent. Publishing people's private info is also prohibited under the policy, as is threatening or incentivizing others to do so. So this essentially puts an end to doxing. So there is a problematic history around very active communities of people online can gather together and sort of use technology, the internet, gathering private information about people to essentially get revenge on people, to threaten, to intimidate. So for example, what can happen is somebody can have a perceived breach of their own privacy. With that, they can then turn to social media to, use if they have an online community or they have people that are influenced by them, essentially using the wave of internet traffic to overwhelm that person, or to get them loads of phone calls, loads of emails, whatever, bad business reviews on their business pages. And I see Twitter being used a lot to do this. And it can be used for a spectrum of purposes. It can be used for things that people may perceive as rather petty, for example, between celebrities and bloggers or journalists, a sort of tit for tat, oh, you think you can go on your YouTube channel and expose me? Well, here you are exposed. There can be a lot of that going back and forth. However, there can also be, for example, if somebody is a fugitive, a known predator, people want to warn others about someone nefarious, the sharing of information in order, for example, people to say, call up this line and keep requesting that they release this person. It can have there can be some social campaign, social justice uses for this. But in any event, with the new wave of changes coming through with Twitter, this is now not going to be possible. So what does this mean then for Stan Twitter? I think what it means for Stan Twitter is quite good, because I've talked to quite a few times in No Ghostwriter, and a lot of us YouTube creators have talked about this, in that there is a lot of inherent toxicity within Stan culture. Stan culture isn't inherently positive. It is in the sense that the underlying passion that people have for an artist and their work is great, and it brings people together, and that's super fun. But there's a difference between Twitter being used as a place where lots of people with similar or mutual interests just happen to be, and where people solely use the app just as a means to engage with one community. So like the only content you absorb is within this one community, and it creates a bit of a hive mind, a bit of groupthink. I want to thank our sponsor, Surfshark VPN. So Surfshark VPN ensures that you are protected as you navigate the internet, and the good thing about it is that it protects all of your information. So that's down to your sensitive banking information, things like your passwords, your browsing history, and so on. But another benefit is that it has a location switcher. So if you need to, you can switch your location in order to be able to access content or other things that you need to access from a different geographical location. And if you travel a lot, which I know is currently quite hard with the pandemic, but if you travel a lot or you're not at home, you can still get all your creature comforts from home if you use Surfshark VPN. So they have an offer right now for 83% off your first 3 months. And also you get a 30-day money-back guarantee. Check that out. To use it, use the link in the description of this episode, or use my code Blessing Makosha. That's BLESSING MUKOSHA for your access to the 83% off discount. So I hope you enjoy that. It's got the 30-day money back guarantee. So thank you again to Surfshark for sponsoring this episode, and now we'll get into the content. So on to the next topic. Doja Cat. So Doja Cat recently released the visuals for Woman, and immediately off rip, myself included, I saw this little snippet and I was like, ganja burn, ganja burn, ganja burn. Every time I get high, I just think about you. Yeah, the visual really looked a lot like Nicki Minaj's Ganja Burn from a 2018 Queen album. And I think this is as good a time as any to just talk about generally this whole Doja's influence around Nicki Minaj, and essentially, is Doja Cat being inspired or is she copying, and what is there anything wrong with that? So there is a full reaction, first time reaction to the Woman music video on the No Ghostwriter Patreon. So make sure that you check that out. And that basically summarizes, where the more fair opinions on this are. Doja's always said she's inspired, this is fine. However, not all of Nicki Minaj's fans are falling in this camp. A lot of them feel tired and frustrated, and they feel as if Doja Cat is now taking her inspiration and her homage too far, because it's one thing to have pink aesthetics and to essentially do, soft pop Roman vibes. It's a whole other thing to, go from her last album without openly and explicitly saying Woman inspired by Ganja Burn or Queen. And the thing as well is that it's difficult because on the one hand, no concept is always 100% original. Everything does come inspired. Nicki was inspired by something to create the Queen visuals, and perhaps Doja and whoever was creative directing that also was inspired by similar things. Egyptian artwork, African jewelry, and fashion and art, the coloring, the burning dark orange, the sunset. These things can end up on many a mood board, and that's understandable. For me, I was like, oh damn, even the font is the same. This topic is pretty straightforward because it's all just essentially about a legal exercise of jury screening. So currently Cardi B is involved in a dispute. So she's in some litigation with a blogger, Tasha K, I believe. And essentially, in a nutshell, Cardi's, it's a libel claim. So for Tasha K allegedly saying something that was untrue about Cardi with respects to her sexual health. And so as part of the proceedings, they have civil trial juries in the States, which is not something that we have in the UK. So the jury screening process has been underway. And I'm not 100% sure what the legality of this information being out is. I've seen it in the public domain at this point. So it's in the public domain that Cardi's legal team or legal representatives have requested, as part of the jury screening, clarification on whether, amongst other things, whether the person who is putting forward for jury selection is a fan of the artist Nicki Minaj. So essentially, they are screening out Barbz from the jury. Now, there are lots of reasons why this is I'll break it down. So the first reason off the bat legally why that is a sensible thing to do is being realistic. It's highly unlikely that a fan of Nicki Minaj is actually going to be unbiased towards Cardi B in a legal proceeding. It's hard to admit that, because you may think, hang on, how can it ever get that serious? But I can assure you it really does. It really does get that serious, because at the end of the day, you know, throwing a shoe at Nicki Minaj, the hate train, this stuff genuinely traumatized Nicki Minaj's fans, and there are millions and millions and millions of them. So the fact that Cardi's legal team would ask this question indicates both a recognition of the significant vast influence that Nicki Minaj has, and the significance of it also is that it recognizes that Cardi B herself, you know, is not someone that Nicki Minaj's fans like or appreciate, and that could be, you know, that could be used and interpreted in a various range of ways. You could be shady with that information, but just off the bat, legally, it's a sensible thing to do, because at the end of the day, it would be naive to think that Nicki Minaj does not have significant influence and reach, and that her fans don't take her position and consider Cardi to be someone who has been highly disrespectful towards her. And therefore have no time for her. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Clout is Not Currency podcast. I hope that this episode inspired you to think differently about value, worth, and influence, and empowered you in some way. If you enjoyed this episode, then make sure that you follow the podcast on your streaming platform and leave us a review. And as always, make sure that you check out No Ghostwriter and join our Patreon so that you get the full extended video episode and ad-free versions of the podcast. Thank you so much. See you guys in the next episode, and bye.